Today's episode is brought to you by
Sutler is a crowdsourced, hyper-localized app that rewards local users exploring their local community. Sutler lets local businesses connect directly with their best customers, locals, sharing time-sensitive deals and exclusive Sutler specials only offered on Sutler. Locals know best, not an algorithm. Sutler. Trust local.
You're listening to Real to Real with Coach Herb and B, a podcast that brings you community and culture with your host, Coach Herb and B.
Hey, y'all, what's happening? This is Coach Herb, and I'm joined by my homegirl, B. And
Hey, y'all.
of course, the man behind the scenes is Mr. Ben, and we have a special guest, and very close, an old friend of mine, Christy Winters-Scott.
Hey, y'all. Thank you guys for having me. And yes, Herb, we go way back, and I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, welcome.
This shows it. She doesn't look as old as I do, but
I mean, Maybelline and some more things, though.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't have that opportunity.
See? Yeah, so yeah.
Good.
It's all
No, I'm messing with you. Well, welcome to our podcast. We truly appreciate you coming on. I know when Herb told us that we were going to have you on, we were super excited.
Yeah.
And so thank you. We know you're a local legend.
I've been a long time. If you say legend, I've been around a long time. If you say
local living legend.
Local living legend. Yes, correct. Yes.
We've had a really, I'm going to go very brief. We've had a really rough 2020. Let's just go quick.
Yeah.
And like the start of it was awesome because we had a great end to your basketball season. If nobody knows, we're just going to go briefly and you're going to just explain your cliff notes of your career, spanning from when you played and now being a parent and coaching and all that quick stuff. So
oh man, it's been like lightning years. It's like light years just going through. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long ago, Herb, to tell you the truth. But I never thought as a student athlete at South Lakes that I would be coming back to coach, and not even just that, but coming back and see my kids wear South Lakes across their chest too, and then on top of that, be able to coach one of them and our daughter Brianna. So it's just been like kind of a pinch me life for me in terms of that. I never had that as a goal to one day come back to South Lakes and coach and to cut nets, and not only to cut nets, but to see our oldest son, Jerome Jr., cut a net his junior year, and then Brianna to cut a net her junior year. And then we have one more coming through the pipeline. The last Scott is what the hashtag is apparently for him. The last Scott. He's 13, Jordan, and he's going into 8th grade. So we have one more coming through, and it's insanely enriching for my soul and spirit because I bleed blue and green. We won the state championship my senior year, 29-0, and that was really hard to do, to say the least. I think the last maybe 6 to 8 games where we were undefeated and we were going through postseason, and our talk was like, we didn't come this far to come this far. Like, we got to keep pushing. And we won the state championship game by 2 points on a dramatic charge call on Penny Moore.
Yep.
When they, it was insane. So we ended up winning that. I remember jumping so high and spinning in the air that I saw these spots. I thought I was going to pass out. It was one of those moments
I know.
that I'll never forget. But I think to now see those kinds of things, like the celebrations, the victories, the belief, and all of that, when I see that in the eyes of our Seahawks and our own Scott children, I mean, it's like a reward that, money can't buy. It's definitely priceless. Memories that I'll never forget.
Yeah. And to get the audience up to speed, she's selling herself real short about, the fast forward and all that stuff. She had a great youth career, great college career, and also played overseas in several countries. And she also came back and had an opportunity to play in the WNBA. It was kind of in the twilight of her career. And then also she coached college as an assistant. So she had a long career. She's just trying to make, fast forward. And
Herb, you better pump her up. You better stop it.
She was All-American. She was leading. Okay, so she's all-time. She was all-time points leader for a long time at South Lakes, and then she was also in the Hall of Fame for her Turtles, Maryland Terps.
That's right.
Like,
that was crazy.
She doesn't want to toot her own horn. I'm going to toot it for her. She had a very, very, very illustrious career and at South Lakes and at Maryland University, and a pretty awesome career in overseas, because when she came out, the WNBA wasn't quite there yet. So
right. That was crazy.
Your professional career was overseas. Yeah.
It was loving basketball, Herb, over there.
Yep.
I didn't know the language, and I just wanted to hoop, so that's why I was there. So that was that.
So it was cool because, following her career and everything. And, like I said, we go way back. We've been friends forever. And we've known the same circle of people and everything. And I actually played with her husband, he's a local legend as well. So
the king crossover, ice water,
Yes, ice water. Got to give him a shout out, or he might.
I had to throw that ice cube.
Yeah. So, Ben, what you got for us, bud? We need to get real and get quick.
Well, it's great that you mentioned about Christy being inducted into the Seahawks Hall of Fame, because doing the research that I do for the show to make sure that it's as good as we possibly can make it. I heard about a great thing that Grant actually said during his induction, or at least during your induction, I should say, that it feels good to be recognized as the male Christy Winters-Scott now. But giving you that amazing shout out during that time, how did that feel for you? Because as Herb mentioned, all your accolades, you're not just another player who came through this tunnel of greatness that happened here. You have made a lasting impact in this region, and to have Grant Hill acknowledge that as well is great to us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was sitting there and he was making his speech, and when he said that, he looked right at me. And I felt my face like heat up. I was like, did you just really say that? I think I probably looked stunned. Like, if I could have a mirror at that time, I think my face would be like in total shock, because I just they would come to games and everything. He was younger. He was like 8th grade my senior year. So we don't need to calculate real time, by the way. But anyway, but he would come to games, and he said he was our water boy, but I don't remember that. And I told him, I was like, well, I don't remember you giving us water or anything. And he said, well, you never came off the floor. So anyway, it was, I never knew that people were paying attention, if that makes sense. I mean, I was such a fan of Michael Jackson. And then to find out that Grant was the same kind of fan for Michael Jackson that I was, and he was 4 years ahead of me. So I was in 8th grade when Michael was a senior at South Lakes, and you can do the calculations on that. So with Michael, he was so inspirational to us, because when he went on to Georgetown to play for the late great John Thompson Jr., whose birthday is today, recently passed away. But to see him just down the street, I mean, we would go to Kinderleague games, would be packed in there. I love Patrick Ewing. And I think I discovered Patrick Ewing because of Michael. I was like a Georgetown fan because of Michael Jackson. And I remember one time I was driving down the street with my mom, and Michael was, I guess he lived off of South Lakes Drive somewhere, because we would always see him with a ball in hand, dribbling like dirt. And I would like lose my whole mind, like, oh my God, Mom, it's Michael Jackson, slow down, and I would just like watch him dribble. And he had no idea. So it's like, you have no idea who's watching. So when Grant said that, I'm like, no way would he like flip out if I'm dribbling a basketball down the street, right? Like, no way that would happen, because I didn't see myself like that. I just wanted to play and win. Like I wasn't like, let me be this like person like Michael, you know, even though Michael inspired me, but I wasn't like setting out to be that for other people. And unknowingly, when Grant said that, that just, I don't know, that meant everything to me. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
So to go to a more serious note a little bit, the NBA and WNBA have proven themselves to be very progressive leagues, especially during this time of social unrest. I know you cover both leagues, and obviously you have an extensive career playing in basketball and have grown up seeing the game kind of evolve to where it is today. How do you feel about everything that's going on with the leagues being able to put sayings and things on the back of their jerseys to help bring awareness to social causes that are going on currently in this environment, to even the local team, the Mystics, had a very strong statement on the back of their shirt that honestly didn't even have words on the back of their shirt. It just had an image, or images, I should say. And on the front of their shirts, collectively, a few of their teammates had a name spelled out. So how do you feel about all of these things happening, and then how basketball is kind of being a vessel to bring awareness to these issues?
I love it because somebody has to do it. And I love that it's a league in the WNBA, 144 professional women, 80% of them are Black, 80%. And I know for a fact, like Tiara Ruffin-Pratt lost a cousin to a police officer brutalizing him and murdering him. So this hits home. This isn't just, for social media. This isn't just for, hey, let's all take a picture. No, this is for a straight up movement. This is for, the day of reflection. Everyone's like, oh, they boycotted. Oh, they're protesting. No, they didn't. Both leagues, the WNBA and the NBA, they used that day last Wednesday. They used that day as a day of reflection. And that's what they referred to. They got busy. They got on phones. They had the league office actually shut down for the NBA and the WNBA in New York. And they made calls to local governmental representatives to make change. And for me, I think when you flash back to Herb, when we were in school, you flash back, that would have been unheard of for the professional leagues to have people step up like that. And I mean, and you take it back just a couple of years ago and Colin Kaepernick, and you saw what happened to his professional career. So I think there was some fear that if you speak your mind, if you stand up for what's right, if you stand up for equality, if you say the wrong things, you're going to lose everything you worked so hard for. So I think that now it's not. Now it's like, you're going to change this. And I'm not going to have my kids marching in the streets that my grandparents marched on. My father was at the Martin Luther King march back in '63. And I'm here marching with my kids at the Juneteenth thing with the Wizards and the Mystics. And then, you think about that, like, why are we still out here
doing this?
Why saying this thing? Yeah. Why? And, I think there just comes a boiling point where, basketball is what you do. It's not who you are. You take the jersey off and you're still a Black woman. You're still a Black man, and you have to understand that. And that's where I stand with it. And I stand with them, and that's what it takes. I have to walk this way.
No worries. Thank you so much. That was an amazing response, and definitely it's been very impactful, I think, on many reasons. And I hate to throw a super huge curveball because I know you've got to get going pretty soon, so I wanted to kind of do something a little bit more fun and light. In your opinion, since you are covering both leagues and home team games, in your opinion, what is the more entertaining product to watch, Wizards or Mystics?
Mystics.
I mean, come on.
One just one.
I say that out loud.
Yeah, one just one.
I don't know. I just think it sets an example for our young women, to see professional women play. Not that the product is better or not, but I just think, I would have loved to see professional women's basketball take place when I was growing up. So that's the only reason why.
It's funny because sorry to jump in, but like I took my daughter to an NBA game and a WNBA game, and I think the WNBA game was a lot more fun for her. Like it just felt more interactive for her, and so.
And I have to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is this?
No, you're fine. Thank you so much.
No, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. You're on set. Look like you gotta do some work.
I had to
you're like
hustle.
a lady in action right now. So
I
that's
mean,
Yeah.
that
I,
that tells the audience that this is no joke. She's the real deal.
I know. I love y'all, and I want to
Right.
come again. So let's do it where I don't have to be brief.
Definitely.
Right.
Yes.
And I think this is a good segue for the audience to know like she's the real deal. I know this is a halftime show you're about to do, so
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we'll
thank you.
talk
Go
to
Mystics.
I love y'all.
Love you too.
All right.
We'll
Bye.
talk to you.
Yes. Yes.
All
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Miss Christy Winters-Scott. She's a woman of a lot of
Yeah.
words, and she really would like to, convey a lot of messages for us. So I think we're gonna also bring her back for another
Mhm.
show,
Yes.
and obviously continue this because we also want to dive a little deeper into her before basketball and all of that stuff, growing up in Reston and all of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have a few people that I want to, bring on the show to do that. So, including her. So, I
I
think,
like that.
the audience will appreciate it and hopefully will learn something about Reston because the Reston now is totally different, obviously because of evolution, but Reston then was a little bit more different. A little bit. It was a melting pot, and it still is a melting pot. But it was definitely a lot of things that we could talk about. So
Cool.
I might
thanks
be
so much.
hijacking the show one day. So
I like that.
sorry.
That's okay.
But
You have to. I want to talk about women's empowerment.
So what small business do we want to promote tonight, Miss B? Do we have something?
Right. So let's hope we have something, right? No, so I do have something. So I like to go and have a glass of wine from time
What?
to time by our job. I know, right?
See?
Right? Not
You
me.
hit us with
Not
a
at all.
curveball, and we're not even in baseball right now. Ben, you see that?
Dang. Cross
I know,
sports.
right?
I know.
I
Like,
am
can you clue us in when you're gonna have wine? Because I'd like to have a glass of wine too.
yeah, right. Would you like to come and have a glass of wine? That would be great. No, so I do like to go and have a glass of wine. And I actually saw at this place when in the beginning of getting to know her really well. And he was out with his family, and it's the Lake Ann Coffee House and Wine Bar, right? That's
right.
your jam, right?
Yeah.
And then they give you some wine, you get some coffee, and get yourself right afterwards.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy that place because it is very homey in a sense, and everybody
breakfast food too.
knows everyone, and it's located. Yeah, you can go there for breakfast. Me and Dave went on a breakfast date not too long ago and went to Lake Ann Coffee House and Wine Bar. But yeah, I like that place. It's at Lake Ann. It's at Washington Plaza. And yeah, Lake Ann Coffee House and Wine Bar.
Awesome.
And I'll put all the information.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. And like we said before, we're going to have Miss Christy Winters-Scott back on the show, and we're going to do some more digging and probing and all of that stuff. And Mr. Ben was always going to have the great questions.
Always.
And I'm going to try to, keep it quick and brief, Ben. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll wrap up twice.
Wrap it up, guys.
Yes.
Wrap it up. I don't know whether it's like one of those things where when you're on a show, you're like, okay, teleprompter. Yeah. 2 minutes. I feel like some of these people on there are like, F that. Forget 2 minutes.
Do my own thing. Yep.
My mind. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
And I would say
Subscribe, like.
Yep, keep it real.
Subscribe. check us out. All right, y'all. We're back with part 2 with Miss Christy Winters-Scott. And we're going to continue the conversation about everything.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah, we appreciate you coming back and joining us and all this good stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I think we're just going to continue the conversation that we were basically having before we had to take a pause.
We got some questions.
We still got questions for you, young lady.
All right, let's go with it.
And so we have Red, as usual, we have Red in the background, and he's gonna hit us with the good stuff.
All right, here we go.
So the last time that we got a chance to talk, we kind of talked a little bit just about general sports stuff, but now we kind of want to take a little bit deeper dive into your background and career in the sport and what you've kind of gone into afterwards. So to start off, what was the toughest challenge for you and your team during your senior year when you guys won state championship?
Oh my goodness. Question, Red, man. Listen, I tell you what, as the year started off, I believe we had 6 seniors on that team. And so we were very much together. And I think everyone played hard for one another. We had great chemistry, great respect. And we just had fun playing. And I know that sounds so trivial and maybe, everybody says that, but that was exactly how it felt. But as the season went on, we hadn't lost a game. It got to be 20-0, 22-0. And then you start getting to, the postseason single elimination, like it could all be over, And I think for me personally, man, it started tightening me up a little bit. I started getting nervous because, I didn't want to go out like your senior year. You want your last game to be a win, right? Whatever that is, like you want to end as the winner, the last one standing, period. And I think as the games got further down the line, got deeper into the playoffs, it really got to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
it really was. And I'm not going to sit back and say, oh yeah, we just went through and did it. No, I was stressed out.
Yeah, they weren't like blowouts.
I was freaking out.
There were some games that were really tight to the bitter end.
Some close games. It was ridiculous, actually. I know when we played Stewart, Jeb Stewart.
Yeah.
We played them early on in the season. We beat them at home at South Lakes by 15.
Right.
Then we ended up playing them in the regionals.
Yep, regional finals.
Close, 5-point game.
That was, it was really close. It was down to the end.
It was ridiculous.
That was stressful because, for me anyway, and I wasn't even playing. I was just sitting there watching.
I was bugging out. No, I was bugging out because it was packed in there. We were at Robinson High School or second, whatever, and it was packed up in there. And, again, we hadn't lost. We were probably sitting at, 25-0 at that point, something crazy. Hadn't lost all year. And we'd already played Jeb Stewart. Penny Moore was the star on their team. We played AAU ball together, best of friends. And she got, and I love Penny to this day. And we played from 12 and under all the way up through 16s, So we were real close. And we went out to shake hands for captains or something like that. And, they tell you this is what it is, shake hands, right? And she turned her head and put her hand out. And I was like, oh, that's how we, okay. I thought we were going to be cordial and,
Right.
And play tough against each other, but I thought we'd still be cool. And I think I don't know if she ever knew it. that hurt me. I don't think I ever told her that. But during the game, it was these extra little, there was one time up the court, we were tangled up.
Yeah.
We were tangled up, on the floor. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, this is supposed to be my dog, my girl. Wow, we're going to be tangled up like that. She tripped me one time, after N1 or something. And I was walking to the foul line to finish. And a foot, man, anyway, came out. But anyway,
I was going to say, I remember the first game.
Yeah.
Against them, and I think you had 32 or something like that. And I think that's why she was a little bit bitter because she didn't have a great game against y'all the first time. So I'm assuming she was probably up for revenge, and she probably wanted to keep her game face and didn't want to smile at you or something. I don't know.
No, it was a lot.
She saw you as competition.
Yeah, but I wasn't ready for that. You know what I'm saying? And I knew, like, you know, you always, if you're playing against your friends, your buddies, like, there's always going to be an added incentive. I don't care what sport it is. You're always going to have a little extra juice. And so for me, I can have that, but I still love you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not coming at you, you know, physically or whatever. Anyway, so we ended up winning that game by 5, but it was close. But it was bittersweet for me because I think I was hurt after that because of what happened during the game, and I couldn't get over that. So we go on and play these tough teams going into the States, and then you know, we had close games. We played Warwick from down there in Princess Anne.
Yes.
And had, I don't know, elbow pads and knee pads on.
Yeah, it was physical.
And headbands.
Even the state championship game was physical.
It was super physical. Yeah. But that game against Warwick, I remember Terry Bradley going in for a shot and being taken all the way out. And they threw the girl out because she just like, I mean, it was like a crazy foul. It was awful. But that whole game was like that.
Was she big?
Terry was a guard, but the girl who clobbered her was probably the same size, but she took her out. Like, you don't like in the
She was in the air going for a shot and got her legs taken out from under her.
I was like, whoa, like I never did that at all ever in person. You know, you see games on TV, you see that happen in the, you know, in the 90s in the NBA, you know, 80s. Right. So it was like that. I'm like, wow, you're just going to just take her out like that. And she was fine, but it was scary looking. But anyway, that game was close, less than 10-point game. We won that one, got out of it alive is how we kept saying it. Like, woo, we got that one alive because it was like in the mud. And then we end up playing Stewart again for the championship.
Right.
States. We're 28-0, playing our last game ever of the season. So yes, it was super stressful. I remember at halftime, Coach Jill English told us, she said, you know what? It's not like you're playing the way you've been playing all year. It was close. It was back and forth. All first half was crazy. It was probably, I think, tied at halftime. It was real low scoring too. It was like this defensive, like grimy in the dirt, you know, dig it out defensive game. This is our 3rd time seeing them in the season. And it was Penny, you know, and she was a junior that year. So before the coach came in, we were saying like, hey, we're not going to end our season, you know, as seniors, our careers as seniors, any other way than winning. Right. You know, we were like, hey, we're not going out like that. Like 6 seniors, we're out here like boom, boom, boom. But it was like we were yelling this. I just remember like yelling it, and everybody, Jennifer Volgino, Amy Strobel, Chris Mursky, who passed away last year, unfortunately, breast cancer, so rest her soul. But all of us were saying that in the locker room, just being very convicted with it. And Jill English comes in and she said, you know, you're not playing to win, you're playing not to lose. And I never heard it put that way, you know, but that I think took us over the edge. And Penny Moore got the rebound from a Jennifer Volgino free throw. She made the first one, missed the second one with like 7 seconds left. Penny gets the rebound. I'm running down behind her. All this is slow motion in my memory. And I'm running down behind her. And Amy Strobel, who was our point guard, she takes off. She had jets, played 3 sports, took off, got in front of her, and took the charge as Penny was shooting it. And I swung at it, and I may have gotten a pinky nail on some skin, a little bit. But I thought when I heard the whistle,
you thought it was a foul on you.
Oh, it was on me.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Wasn't enough to, you know, but I thought, because I felt it, I was like, I got a little bit on the swipe. And I'm behind her too. And I was like, no way. I'm running with desperation. I'm like, this is my senior year right here. And, you know, there was a 2-point game.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 points. Yeah.
My God. And then Amy runs in front of her and the whistle blows and we all look at the official like slow motion, like, and he's like, charge. Oh, I still get chills. And we were all jumping around at the buzzer. You know, there's no time. So it was like a miracle call.
The game. Yep.
It was the call of the game. And I remember jumping up and seeing spots and spinning around and like banging into everybody. And it was just a blur after that. But that was our state championship. And it was by 2 points over Jeb Stewart, who ended up winning the following year in 87. And, but 29-0, I'll never forget it. But it was, you know, it sounds like, oh, that was, you know, easy to get that. And it was a good fight. Like, listen, it was a struggle. And I think it was more of a mental struggle
Right.
Even though the games were super physical, I think the mentality of that moment was something that I don't think I've seen since then. You know, just being undefeated and having like one last crack at it. Either you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And boy, it was all on the line, man. And everybody was down there. It was packed. We were at JM.
We took the school bus down.
Yeah, the buses.
Buses down there. I think it was like 8 buses.
Yeah, it was a ton of buses.
Yeah,
Everybody was
cool.
like all green and blue and screaming and jumping. And yeah, it's a moment in time, man. I'll never forget it. And I know my dad, you know, Reston, so he passed last year as well, but he wore a referee shirt to that game, white and black striped shirt. And on the back of it, it said 100% correct. I was like, are you wearing that like into the game? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna wear it. He said, oh yeah, I'm wearing this. I was like, oh my God. But he had a time, but it was fun, you know, for us. And I think the biggest part of that was coming back home. You know, you get back on the bus because it's a routine all season. You've been with the same group, and we were coming down South Lakes Drive, and I think we were in like,
you just see all the love.
But we started.
We stayed at the school and waited. Yeah.
We couldn't believe that was it. We were like, wait, that was it. We don't have any more games together.
Mm-hmm.
And it really hit home that, you know, that was the end of the road.
Yeah.
You didn't feel that. Like you play, like you're playing every other day. You're playing all the time, practice. You have this routine. And then we're getting ready to pull into the school.
Yeah.
It was the finality of that was just so emotional for all. We were crying. We were smiling, but we were all like, we were crying. I'll never forget that. It was so great, but it was, you know, it was sad that it was over.
Well, speaking of being over, your career was definitely not at that point. Next, for people who may not know, you continued on with the sport of basketball, and you went to the University of Maryland. And from my, research for it, you definitely had a lot of accolades from there. So not surprising, because seeing what you did here in Reston. But would you be able to maybe talk about one or two of those, or maybe what kind of stands out as the biggest milestone that you reached while at the University of Maryland?
Oh man!
All-time leading scorer until probably what? Until about
10 years ago.
Don't you have something hanging up in the gym too, right?
Not at Maryland.
Not at Maryland, but there's one at South Lakes.
Yes, there's one at South Lakes.
Okay.
Yes.
But at Maryland, though, I always say, when people say that, when people ask me that, I always say, yeah, I'm up there because our team from, 88, 89, and 90 are all up in the rafters for, the NCAA tournaments. And we were in the ACC then, so the ACC championships, we had back-to-back ACC championships that went to the Final Four my junior year. And it was an amazing ride. And, I know I said that was the toughest thing, trying to stay undefeated in high school. But I think, when you're a college athlete, you're being recruited and they tell you, we need you to be this for us and da-da-da-da, and you're the one and this, that, and the other thing. And then the first day, I think this was like, I know this isn't an accolade, Red, but this is like kind of an awakening, like Oprah says, an aha moment for me. Sitting in the office, first day of school, we had a team meeting and everybody's introducing themselves going around. And I'm like the last spot on the couch, right? So everybody's going around like, yeah, I'm Sabrina Rivers. I'm from New York. We won 3 state titles in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And meanwhile, she runs like a 540 mile and she's like muscles that I probably still would never have. And, and then Vicky Bullitt, she's a 2-time Olympian, right? Oh, yeah. And so she's like, yeah, I've been with the USA basketball trials and, I'm up for the Olympic team. And I'm like, wait, what's happening? And they come, everybody has the same thing, like
okay,
championships, boom, boom, boom. And then they get to me and I'm like, hi, I'm Christy. I'm from Reston. And that's how I felt.
Where is that?
I felt so insignificant at that moment. Not at Reston, but just from what everybody else was saying, man, I was like humbled. And not that I was arrogant, but I was not ready to hear that stuff. Right. So as an 18-year-old sitting there, and every time somebody said something, I was shrinking down lower and lower in the corner of the couch. And So that was interesting. But yeah, I think you said 2 of the accolades. Oh man, I think my sophomore year when we won the ACC championship, had to battle for it. You know, I just wanted to win at the end of the day. And I know that may sound cliche too, but I'm dead serious about that. But personally, I think there's this video where they were doing the all tournament team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm like, we won, like, boom, boom, like team, like all, you know, I won the team spirit award, you know, freshman, sophomore year. I was like the spazzy one. If someone got an and one, I was the first one, like in their face, like, that's right. You know, I was the first one there. So, you know, for me, it wasn't about me. It was about the team all the time. And so when they said, yeah, the all tournament team, boom, boom, boom. And they were like, Christy Winters from Maryland. I was like, what? Like the video was like, me? Like that. And I was dead. I wasn't even joking. And I had to run over there and get the little thingy for it and all. But I was like, you know, totally not about any individual stuff. Right. And I would say junior year, and this is not an accolade. See, it's all these team things that stick out to me. But when we played at Texas for the last spot in the Final Four, we were the last game of the night. I think it was a 9:00 game on ESPN. And all 3 of the other teams had punched their ticket to the Final Four, and we were playing at their place in front of like 14,000 people, and our tiny little band was there and a handful of parents, but all the parents are going to come to the Final Four if we had punched our ticket, including my parents. So they were watching like faces to the screen. And so we ended up winning at Texas. But I think it was like 8 or something like that, but it felt closer to that. Cheryl Miller was the analyst on that game, so, you know, I was like passed out. I'm in warm-ups. Just looking over at her, but it was packed, crowded.
She's so cool.
Every time they scored, man, I'm telling you, the floor would shake and bounce like this. And I'm standing basically right next to Vicky Bullitt, and we're trying to play call or, you know, like talk to each other, communicate on the court. And all I could see was just her mouth moving. I couldn't hear a thing. That was that loud. It was ridiculous. And after we won that game, all the fans were standing there going like this, and it was silent in there. We were like, man, we got to get out of here. It was like spooky, but we cut the nets and all that. But I think that was like, it was a defining moment, but I don't know if it's an accolade, personal accolade, but it's those 2 things where, you know, for me, they kind of stand out, you know, being able to.
Didn't you and Vicky get accolades there too, though, right?
Yeah, it was like the all regional team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. See, it's like, it's been a minute. So yeah, we had that. I know our guard team, Dina Tate and Carla Holmes, they were killing it because Texas was huge. They had a 6'8", 6'6" front line, and Vicky and I were both 6'2", 6'3". And for that game prep, we practiced. Our coaches had brooms, you know, on us, and you know, we thought it was. I mean, I'm not going to say we thought it was joke time, but we thought it was funny when they would block the shot. And Coach Weller was like, it's not going to be funny when, you know, when that happens at Texas, you know, and they're so big in there. So I'm like, you're right. But it changed the way we played. So we usually played inside out, but that game we played outside in, man. And Carla and Dina, I think they had 30-something each. And Vicky and I were, you know, a little below our average, but still, you know, did what we could do in that game in terms of what we had to battle against. But our guards came up huge. That's why we won that game. We went on to the Final Four that year to play Tennessee in the semis. And so, yeah, it was an amazing moment. That was, So I don't know if that's an accolade. I don't know if I answered that properly, but I don't really care about anything else. But, you know, when that happened sophomore year, you know, I wasn't playing for that, but I think that was kind of a surprise for me. Like I was like, whoa, like what? You know, and I'm on the court with Olympians and All-Americans and whatever. Right. And I'm like, I'm included in that. So I, you know, that kind of took me a moment to embrace, I guess, or to understand. But then that moment when the buzzer went off at Texas, man, I will never forget that. And especially now looking back, like how hard it is to go to the Final Four. Yep. You know, it's something that you want to do as a goal and what you want and all that. Mm-hmm. We had before at Auburn, and they killed us. We were young though. We were sophomores and juniors, but this next year we were juniors and seniors. But I think that made a huge difference too. But we were at Auburn. They scored over 100 and we had 70 something. Child, it was bad. And they were holding up signs, Final Four, here we come and stuff on a free throw. I remember looking up there and I was like, oh, I was so mad, man. And I think that energy carried over to next year. But those posters that drove me, and they had measured us for rings and everything. We didn't get them, and they measured us the next year for rings. And I remember Vicky and Dina and all the seniors, they were like, we're going to get these rings this time. We're not going to get measured and not get our Final Four rings this year.
Right.
But that was, those aren't really accolades, but I would say those are two moments at Maryland that I kind of hold on to.
Yeah, you got a Final Four banner. Oh,
Yeah.
And Herb usually doesn't like us to let people off the hook without at least tooting their horn a little bit. So he did allude to the point that you did have the most points scored at some point, but you still hold the record for second most points. It's not like you got way down number 10 or anything, crazy like that. You're still up there.
It is. Well, as the years go by, it kind of wanes a little bit. But all of them are, in the WNBA now. Alyssa Thomas, I know she, plowed her way through, and Crystal Langhorne, I'm sure, is up there. Shea Duran, I think, surpassed us and stuff like that. But we held on to that for like a while, though.
Wow.
Vicky was first, and I was second for a while. Yeah, which was great, But then you can't do anything about it, which is kind of unnerving, as the years go by. And then I think on the game this past year when Kyla Charles passed me in something and I had to interview her and I was like, yeah, congratulations on moving up in whatever. I was like, and you passed me, so good. Funny. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like,
it happens.
But it was funny though, because I was like, I have to tell her that, but yeah, it was a moment. But yeah, it held for a minute, but there's been some really elite level pros coming through there the last couple of years.
How is it when I'm assuming most of them that you interview, they already knew you played there, right?
Yeah, what's really great, Herb, is that, being with Maryland during Brenda Freese's tenure, I was with the ACC broadcast for about 6 years, saw Alyssa Thomas come through in, I guess, 2013, 14. And, with the move to the Big Ten, the ability to stay around the team and cover them like that, Brenda Freese has been so welcoming. I mean, she's one of the best in the business anyway. And I'm not saying that because I'm an alum, but I'm saying like her inclusiveness, like not just for me, but like for the media, like she allows media in the locker room before the game to get her pregame speech. Not every coach does that across the country. Like she's very welcoming, and this is great for us. We love to have everybody hear what's going on. But the media day last year, and I was on campus, and they had practice right when I was finished. So I'm like, well, let me pop in and just take a look at the new players and stuff like that. It was around this time last year in October. And she said, hey, come on over. They were finished. Said, hey, come on over to the circle. I want to introduce you to our new players and everything like that. And she just welcomed me in the circle. You know how like special circle is, for a team. Just walk people into it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, are you sure? It was almost like me as a sophomore, like me. You know what I mean? Like I'm just over here at the desk, I'm at the, just peeking in, fly on the wall. And she's like, no, come on over. And then she said, this is Christy. She played here and blah, 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 blah. And then she let me say something to them. And, just to have that kind of connection, that's a major deal. And I'm grateful for that. So that's been really good just to have that. But as a broadcaster, I'm just going to call it like I see it.
Right.
I'm not going to be, leaning towards Maryland when I call games for the Big Ten and for Maryland games, men or women. I had a men's game last year too, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to call it like I see it. But she's a very special woman, Brenda Freese. And, I've seen her run practices and all of that, pre-game and prior to games. And she just gets it. She's a well-oiled machine when it comes to being tactically efficient with who's on the floor. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
And Maryland wasn't the last stop for you, even in still your playing career. So where did you end up going after school? And can you talk a little bit about the differences between playing there versus playing here, you know, where you kind of grew up?
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you what, since I was in Reston, and then I was, 25, 30 minutes away in College Park, Maryland. And
Right.
then opportunity came to play in Pistoia, Italy. And
Italy.
I was like, I wanted to, there was no WNBA at the time. So I was 22 and loved the game. So I'm not going to park the bus. You know what I'm saying? At that point, and someone's dangling play. And I'm like,
and money and
hello, man.
Yeah.
A couple of lira.
Right.
That's my first professional job, right? So, man, I was nervous, but I'm like, I'm going, And I got there. My coach didn't speak any English. I mean, probably as much Italian as I spoke, which was like nothing. Right. And so that was like the whole Love and Basketball movie was totally me. A couple of my teammates.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, that gives me all of that.
It was exactly, and the thing about that movie is all the music and the timing of everything was exactly the time where I was overseas. Exactly the time I was over there. And so, I was afraid to go out. I remember my dad used to say, like, if you go out to the grocery store or anywhere driving, you better have your passport with you. You better, because I didn't know the language.
Right.
Take all your stuff with you all the time, not just, your driver's license and blah, blah. Like you have to take every piece of information, your team information, like everything, just so you don't get caught out there like that. So it was quite something. I remember one time in a game, we played Jennifer Azzi's team. It was our first game. We played Jennifer, played at Stanford. We were the same class, 1990 class. And I had played against her in AAU ball. She played for Tennessee. And that's the only time I ever saw her in person and played against her. We didn't play against each other in college, but that was the first game. And I remember talking to her afterwards, and I had just gotten there and may have been there a week or something. And she's like, how's it going for you? You all right? And I was like, man, all I know is how to say grazie, and that's it. And ciao and grazie. And ciao is hello and goodbye. I'm like, so basically like 2.5, 3 words.
Right.
She was laughing at me, and she's just like, yeah, just, stay aggressive offensively. And that's what they want. I think, in my first game, I think I was like, I was trying to block everything and, like playing defense on the post and like getting around, swim, move, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, slow down. I think I had a couple fouls in the first half because I was like a little extra on defense, but that's what I knew.
Right.
States, that's how we play. And over there, it's like, you need to get buckets, like period.
That's what they bring you for.
Exactly.
They bring you over there for to make shots.
Yeah.
You don't score, they send you home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never played the game like that. I'm trying to, and now today it's like, oh, they're a great two-way player. And I'm like, shouldn't you always be a two-way player? Like, when did it change where, you're just out there strictly to get a bucket out here? Like, you're not trying to block anything? Like, not one? Oh, I can't. So it was hard for me to kind of bottle that up and kind of, just be vertical.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, my jaw was clenched. I'm like, I'm going to just be vertical. Don't jump. Like, don't do it. That was an adjustment. But it was good advice, I guess, because that's how it was. That's how it was over there. So,
but then you had Italy, and then where else?
I was in Italy, and then after that, I went to Switzerland, and they spoke French there, which I didn't know any of either.
Right.
So at least my coach spoke a little English. He was Greek, but he spoke a lot of English, so he helped me along the way, which was great. But over there in Switzerland, I don't know. I just felt a little more free, I guess. I think in Italy, I think I may have averaged 15 or 16, something like that. And it was a hard 15, 16.
Right.
They're going to beat you up. And, it was just, if you like swim move on somebody, that whistle's coming right away. You go up for a shot, somebody hanging on you, no whistle. So you got, there was like difference in the physicality sometimes over there. But I think with the teams in Switzerland, it was really a good battle. But for me, I was averaging, I think, 37.
Yeah.
in Switzerland. And yeah, it was fun because I was like,
Yeah.
shoot, every time.
Oh no,
But
you told me when you came home, she was like, "Oh, I'm getting buckets over there." I was like, "Oh, look at you! Is your arm sore? Is your arm sore? I think you shooting like every single time down the court."
that's right. I had carpal tunnel in that thing. Hey, my wrist was tight, but I was letting that thing go. But it was so much fun, man. I'm telling you what. And the thing about it, like my first game, coach asked me to. There was a restaurant right by where we played at the stadium, and a little outside cafe, a little cute. It's so beautiful over there. I want to go back. But we were sitting out, and I remember he was drinking some cappuccino, something like that, and he said, "You need to score 40 points." And I had only, I don't know, the most I ever scored, I think, was 30 something, whatever. Remember?
Right.
So I got to go for 40. I was like, oh my God. And then I'm thinking, if I don't, am I getting, and he didn't say, if you
He
don't,
didn't say it, but it was
but I'm like,
understood.
It was implied.
You
Yeah.
you got to be in the high 30s every single game.
Right. So I had 42 that game, so I was gunning. I was like, I got to save myself, honey. I got to shoot.
Right.
So I
Mm-hmm.
was shooting.
That was your only job, was to get buckets.
That's it. I had, I was like 0 assists. You know what I mean? I'm like, I got to shoot it.
You might have, I think you said to me that you averaged like 4 rebounds, because every single time, like somebody else got the rebound, you down the court, ready to just catch
I'm like,
and shoot.
hand out. I'm like, here I
Ready
go.
to just shoot it. Yeah.
Shoot the ball.
Kick it. I'm leaking out.
Right.
Every time. Yeah. It was a different dynamic, and just you that's the difference in playing there and overseas,
Right.
and the States. It was a big difference in that regard, especially being the American, right? Because I think when you're the American over there, it's like they want you to score 40, and when you don't, it's like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the paper, after the first game, I remember the paper, it said, merci, Christy, and 42 points. So like that, it said merci. I was like, it said merci, thank you. Like, got it? Okay. I'm like, I'm going to shoot that thing still. But it was funny though. I sent it home to my mom. I was like, they said thank you to me for like shooting all the time. But it was fun. I played over there for 2 years. So I was in Italy for a season, and then 2 seasons in Switzerland. We went to the Cup. We played some great teams over there, and it was just fun just being in that environment. But you're playing, but it was awfully lonely because we didn't have the creature comforts. We didn't have, Twitter and Instagram and FaceTime and all that. We had the phone with the meter on it. So you see all, those dollars clicking, and I'm like, I gotta go. So yeah, I'm up to $20. I gotta go, or whatever it was. And so, yeah, it was a different life, but I'm glad that I did it. No regrets. And now it's a lot easier because you have the connection of the internet and everything like that, where you kind of stay more in touch. But it's still hard. The culture is different. The pressure is different. They want you to be the one every game, right? Some of the players on the team I remember had actual jobs during the day, and we would practice from 6 to 8 at night, and we had Wednesday off. So I had a key to the gym, so I would go in on Wednesdays and just work out, because they had their lives. They were older, I thought they were super old. They were like 30, I was like 22, 23, you know what I mean? Their lives, they're taking grad classes, they're in grad school, they have their families, some of them had kids, whatnot.
Yeah.
And they needed like a day off, and we would play every Saturday, and we would have Sunday off sometimes if we didn't have a tournament, but it was a grind, it was work. And when I say it was work, I mean, I was like having a blast, but it was tough, in a lot of ways in terms of the culture being, but the game is like, to me, it was a pleasure. It was fun. It was like, I loved it. But just being that far away, my mom came over and stayed for a couple of weeks, and she was so impressed by the little bit of French that I ended up learning and all that. It was fun. So that was good stuff.
Now, I think the next step in your career is probably Herb's favorite one, because he still does it to this day. But can you talk to us about becoming a basketball coach, where you have coached, and maybe if there was, I won't have to say favorite, we don't have to play favorites, but if there was a really great memory that you can kind of look back to and you really enjoyed at one of the schools that you taught at.
Oh man. Well, I was at, to start, I was at George Mason as an assistant, and then moved on to Maryland, my alma mater. I was there for 5 years. I was at Mason for 4 years before that, and then took a gap year. I had our two oldest babies, Jerome Jr. and Brianna, and then went back into it and coached at Georgetown for a season. So yeah, I think for me, I never really thought that I would ever be a coach, number one. I always wanted to get into broadcasting, but I'm glad that I got into coaching because it allowed me to see the game in a different way.
In a different way.
Film, huh?
I said to be able to break it down in a different way.
Yeah. It was
coach's side.
Yeah, because especially as a post player, right? I was a post. So when I watch game film, I'm watching what the post players are doing mostly. I'm not watching the entire Ferris wheel, you know what I'm saying? I'm not watching the whole thing. I'm watching those two, how they move, what they like to do, and I want to take that away. So watching the entire game unfold and watching all the pieces of the play take place and have to pay attention to that, scouting. Oh my gosh, I remember just rewinding like, I don't know, 10 times. Okay, the three goes over here. Okay, rewind. All right, the one that sets a pin down. Like, I'm like learning. Yeah. And it's not like I thought that I was finished learning, but I didn't see the game that way until I had to present a scouting report to the team. And I had to know what I was talking about. And so it kind of forced me to learn the game in its entirety. Right. To watch every moving part. And I think that really helped me offensively and defensively. I think I just got so locked into the post, and we're scouting this team, but I'm looking at these post players, right? So every time I'm like looking at that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I got to see what the point guard's doing. I got to see where they go, right hand, left hand, like what do they like to do, and break down every player like that. And yeah, that really helped me, you know, with the broadcasting, because then that just forced me to see the full picture. Everything. So every single thing. So I think the moments that I enjoyed the most, I would say going back and coaching at Maryland, while it was a little difficult, you know, wins and losses wise sometimes, you know, just recruiting those players and telling them what Maryland was for me, and, you know, walking where I want them to walk kind of thing. I think I really took pride in when kids committed there. And that was super special for me when they got there. You know, those are like my babies, you know, still to this day, you know, I'm still very close with them. And so it's, I don't know, that was something I think I'll always cherish, just to be able to not only share that story with them, but to have them believe in me enough to come along and believe in what Maryland had, to come along for themselves and see it. And then be an alum of Maryland now. That's to me something that's super special. And then going back into coaching after being out 2 years after having the babies, going back to Georgetown, I went with Terry Williams-Flournoy. She's now at Auburn as the head coach, but she was being interviewed for the Georgetown job. And I remember she called me and said, hey, if I get this job, I'm coming after you. I was like, sophomore year at Maryland, me? Like, you're going after me for that? And she had two littles at the time, so she understood about motherhood. And, you know, I know you have two babies too, Bianca out here, and how that whole works, and the decisions that you have to make when you have those things in front of you, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I had been out of it 2 years. When she got the job, she called me and said, do you want to do this? And I remember I was like, because I had a 10-month-old and a 2-year-old at home. And I'd been with them exclusively. So we had our daily, you know, our daily routine, and we had everything, you know, going for us. And in terms of that togetherness and chemistry and getting to know each other and all of that. My mom had just retired, you know, from teaching for years and years. And, you know, I didn't want to like leave her with two littles, you know, and just be gone. So there were all these things I was considering. And but I had been out of it, so I get it. So there was a big decision. I think I took about maybe a couple days, pray about it, think about it, and I actually did it. And there was still like a pit kind of in my stomach because I didn't want to leave the babies. So I was struggling. There are two little faces in the winter. I had to go recruiting for like 4-day stretch because we would go recruit a high school kid, stay overnight, watch her go to her school, get her transcripts, talk to her teachers and whatnot. And then the next day fly somewhere because we had a game at like Providence or something like that. Right. So, or fly to Syracuse or something and then stay the night and then play the game, stay another night and then fly home the next day. And meanwhile, I left on like Saturday or Sunday and here it is Thursday. Going in Friday. And I got these babies at home, man. That was wrenching for me. And don't let a little kid at the airport say mommy, man, I was like done and done. Done and done. Hollow from like here to here. Like, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I loved it. I still loved it because I was like with the, we had Nikki Reed on staff and Alicia Mosley. So it was like 4 African-American women, coaching at a non-HBCU. They did a story about us and everything. It was historical in that regard, but just getting back into it, but the sacrifice of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it wore on me. And then Oscar Dixon called me and said, hey, South Lakes is looking for a coach. And this was like after I started Georgetown in September, and this is May. And Oscar Dixon called me and said, hey, South Lakes is looking for a coach. And I was like, hello, South Lakes. This is Christy Winters-Scott. I would like to apply for the job at South Lakes. So, yeah, I never thought I would coach, but it has taught me so much about everything, not just, the tactical side of the game, but just the team aspect of it, but also the sacrifices that go into being a coach at the collegiate level and what coaches go through who are doing that, who also have a family, and have little kids at home, So, I got off the road and took the job at South Lakes, and here we are, just finished my 15th year at South Lakes. So it's been a ride, but
that's
I wouldn't,
awesome. Yeah.
I don't regret any decision that I made. I'm glad that I made it. Because if I didn't ever test it, I wouldn't know that it was not right for me at that time.
Right.
And so in that respect, in that regard, I'm glad that I did that then. So I knew like exactly what it entailed. I was gone. Like there was no in between. There was no juggle. I can't juggle that. Like it's either you're all in or you're all at home. Like there was no in between. So I didn't like that. That was the bottom line.
That was great. That was great.
And did South Lakes give you that job right over the phone when you called? Did they just say, "Yeah, thank you so much"?
You had to go through an interview
tomorrow.
It's funny because it's a funny story too, because like the coach at the time was actually transitioning to be assistant AD from coaching. So
yeah.
She was moving into the assistant AD job, and and so she had to interview with her.
Trying to be a little tough.
Yeah. So it was interesting, and then she called me actually and was like, "Hey, I got the job." I was like, "What?"
I know. I was like,
I got the job. So what kids around here play really good basketball? I was like,
I did ask you that. I was like, I haven't seen because my babies were like 2 and
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They were like a year and almost 3 at that time. But I hadn't been watching, Reston travel or basketball AAU. Like these teenagers, like who are the good 14-year-olds? Like I don't know. I did. I tapped into her. Kelson Manners, in the player of the year as a senior for us. Yep. So
she was in my neighborhood, and I was like, "Oh, I know this one kid. She's in my neighborhood. She plays basketball. She's been playing like at swing guard, anything." And I was like, well, she could probably play point guard if she really, really put her mind to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need a point guard badly.
I was like, please, let her, tell her come through because we have summer camps and all that. Tell her come on.
Mhm.
But yeah, she was a game changer for us, man.
Yeah.
Turned our whole program around, like just
Yeah.
having, from 3 wins to 19 wins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 wins, 19-4 as a senior and player of the year.
Yeah.
She changed it for us. No doubt.
Hey,
Casey,
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Look at you, Herb.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
linchpin, the mayor of Reston. That's what I call him. The mayor.
He knows it too. That's right. He
We
is the
need-
mayor of Reston.
Help
You
us
know
out.
it. You can't go nowhere without somebody saying, "Hey, Herb."
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I saved the day then. That's right. Save the day. Yeah. But that was a big jump. But I think people thought I was crazy when I left Georgetown to go back and coach at South Lakes, because I had never coached in high school. I'd never been a head coach, but I coached in college for 10 seasons after that Georgetown year as an assistant. And, it was an adjustment for sure. And team was 0-21. Remember, Herb? The previous season. So it was like 29-0 leaving as a player and then coming back, and the team was 0-21. It was like, okay, we got work ahead of us, but
A lot of work.
who doesn't want a challenge? You know what I mean? I was like, we just need to win one game. We're better. So yeah, that was a challenge, but it's been well worth it, over the course of time. So yeah,
Mhm.
no regrets. No regrets.
All right.
I loved listening to this whole interview
there's
because
probably more segments of it.
It's crazy how you can you remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
That happened,
Some of it. Some
so
of it.
it's like
Some of it.
I know some of it. Thank you, Herb, because I would forget.
Some of
most,
it.
most stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Most.
Right.
Yeah,
We
it's-
kind of forget all the bad stuff and remember
Yeah.
all the good stuff. The
Yeah.
bad stuff
But-
is
Besides-
no, that didn't happen.
But yeah, it's been, it's the journey. That's
Yeah.
what the late, great, iconic Kobe Bryant said. The journey is the dream, So that has been what it has been.
mhm.
No, the whole thing, not a one destination. That's why it's so hard to pick one thing, because it's like all of it is a part of the flow of life, So for me, it's like the whole journey.
The journey. I mean, it's actually crazy because now you've dealt with it as a coach,
Yeah.
and now you've been dealing with it as a parent.
Yeah.
Having your kids being recruited to
Yeah.
go to college, and
Mhm.
your oldest is going to school, well, distance learning right now, but will
Yeah.
be going to school for basketball, and then your
Mhm.
middle child will be attending a university as well. So
Yeah. It's crazy.
down one to go.
Yeah, Georgetown. Bree's going to Georgetown. She's a senior this year at South Lakes, full circle. And Jerome Jr., he graduated this past summer from South Lakes. He's going to West Virginia Wesleyan. So they report right after Christmas.
Mhm.
See, how that looks for the season. They're supposed to start playing in January.
Right.
So it's scary, especially when there's so many things going on in the world. So you just, pray for these babies and pray for their safety and everything like that, and in all ways, right? So
Yeah.
he's our first to leave the house.
Mhm.
It would be something else, especially with everything else encompassing the
Yeah, we're going on with all that stuff. Right.
yeah. But he's excited, so we'll cheer him on, pray for him, and see what happens.
hmm
But it's
And
fun.
see him win, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, in all ways, right? In all ways. That's
Yep.
right.
Mhm.
Young man, 18. Lord have mercy.
No.
But, yeah. Crazy stuff. But we just wish the best for them. It's a journey for them too. All of this is part of their story. It's not always going to be easy. Straight line. It's going to be like this. You just got to keep moving. Just go with it. Keep fighting and plugging along and getting the job done.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and following your heart. That's one thing I always say.
That is
Mhm.
definitely. So
I do that all the time. You got to do that. And it's hard because I know, with the Georgetown leaving to go to South Lakes, I felt much different leaving to go to South Lakes than I did leaving home with the babies and going to Georgetown. Like there was no
it's kind of ironic where your daughter's leaving South Lakes to go to Georgetown.
Insane, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Right? The irony, yeah. It's like, wow.
Like, that's true, right?
Yeah.
Oh my, see, you just took it one more level. That's what you do, but yeah, another step, right?
Right. That's just crazy.
Oh my God, the three
As
prong.
long as the thing is, as long as Jordan doesn't end up in Miami, we'll be. That would be ultra crazy.
That would be. That's just too far.
Right.
But it would be nice though to retire down there and like just flat out down.
I'm sure Daddy wouldn't have a problem with that.
Palm trees,
That's
hoops, baby play.
That's what her husband went. He went to University of Miami and played basketball there.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the full circle.
Full circle. That would be just nuts.
I wouldn't be mad at that. Move on down there. Get some nice sand in my toes.
Yeah.
And then hoops at night.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on with us.
Well,
and this was like.
This is amazing. Thank you.
A trip down memory lane for me. So.
Oh man.
I remember like when you came home from overseas a couple of times, and I'm like, "How is it over there?" She's like, "Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it was.
The food is good. Everything is fresh."
Yes, fresh. It was good. It was fun. Glad I did it.
You know, I'm glad you experienced all that, and I'm glad I experienced it with you in some ways. And you know, you'll always be one of my favorites. So.
Oh.
So I appreciate you coming on the show and
Herb.
Thank you.
With you.
Yeah. That's one of my peeps. Like we
That's right. Lunch table. That's the lunch. Like, slide over. I'm like, I got you.
I know.
Right there. My guy. For life, Herb. Don't forget it.
Yeah,
Herb.
for life.
That's my guy.
For life. So. Thanks, Mr. Ben, for all the wonderful questions, because some of them I was like, that's
thank you.
So.
No, that was really good, you guys. For finishing, the second half of it, y'all hanging in there with my,
yes,
a
little bit disjointed at times. So
it just goes to show you how like your life was really. It encompasses how your life was. Like you were all over. So
but
like a puzzle. Yep.
Yeah, but you guys are terrific, and your podcast is awesome.
Thank you.
It's you should
Thank
That's what they say. They say that now too, right? Subscribe on all your major podcasts. Station? I don't know.
Right, tell them. No, it's awesome stuff. We need it.
Look at you.
No, it's perfect.
We'll take money too, guys. So go ahead and send us some money too. So we can keep this thing going. How about that?
Put your Cash App out. The Cash App on it.
Yeah. Whatever you want to send. Cash App, money order.
Hook it up.
Don't get your credit card.
Dang, you taking money order?
I mean, we got Ben. Ben will take a check, I guess. Won't take a credit card number, or Cash App, or Venmo. That's not in his wheelhouse.
He's got to get the.
I know when Mr. Ben, and a big announcement, guys. Before we get off, Mr. Ben will be getting married shortly. So I know he probably didn't want me to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway because we love him and we think he's going to have a great life with his fiance. We're not going to name her so she doesn't get embarrassed, but.
That's great.
That's right. But we love you, Ben.
We love you, Ben.
That's great.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Appreciate it.
Go ahead. You get married.
Don't let anybody turn you, man. We're good, okay? We're good.
Thanks.
Let anybody turn you. You are going to get married down south, so.
Yeah, you got to stay connected.
Yeah. So are a Virginian.
That's
And
right.
on that
Vote a
note,
Virginian.
yeah.
And on that note, please vote.
There we go.
And we'll keep it
That's
going.
great.
Okay, guys? Thanks for joining us. Peace, love.
Peace and love.
The Real to Real podcast is presented by Herbert Williams Beffo and Bianca Moskaitis. Our producer is Ben Runyon. Our technical director is Nick Patry. Audio and video lead is Megan Kotner. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Real to Real and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or anywhere else podcasts are found. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. It's been real with Coach Herb and B.